Hello friends, welcome to another video. There's a lot of heat on this one because I know my dad has the ability to watch these now. So I feel like I'm a little on the old heat blaster right now. I don't know. Anyway, getting on with it. To be honest, I've had a lack of motivation, which is silly because making videos is what I want to do. But to be honest, when YouTube came around, it was like, let's bring your views down to a fourth of what they were for no actual reason. I was kind of like, bruh, all that work just gone. But it's good to. I took a sec and checked myself and remembered that I'm just doing this for, like I said, I'm doing this because I want to, and that's the important thing to remember. So here we are. Tonight rather, it's 2:30 a.m. right now, which is why I'm being a little quiet. Something that I wanted to talk about, actually, that me and my dad talked about, is there's a book called How to Flourish. It's part of a series of books that are all more or less how to, like, blank. The first one I read was How to Die, which I want to make many videos about. And I want to make many videos about this one as well. How to Flourish. It's by Aristotle. It's just his notes and journals and things. But an interesting point that came up, and maybe even it's a little more on the mind than usual since it's voting season here in America, is it talks about not having things in moderation. Well, it talks about more than that. So growing up, everybody is taught to never have anything, too much of anything, right? Like, you go trick-or-treating, you don't want to eat all that candy too quick because then you'll get sick. Or you have a new relationship, you have a new boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, you don't want to spend every second of your waking hour with them. You don't want to spend all of your paycheck the day after you get it, right? Like, everything in moderation. You want to make sure that you're just moderating yourself. Something, and maybe this isn't a huge revelation to many people except me, and it's not even a revelation, it was just brought up to me on a conscious level, and I've been thinking about it in my idle thinking time. But something that I found to be really cool that it brings up is the flip end of that, which is to not be too much of the opposite way, and to always find that spot in the middle where it's the sweet spot. Some examples that the book gives are, like with money, you don't want to be a fool and spend all your money really quickly and just buy everything and be extravagant. But you also don't want to save, and this is the conversation I was having with my dad specifically about this example, was you don't want to save all your money necessarily. You don't want to hoard it, I guess, rather. You don't want to be a stooge. You want to spend things maybe on some charities, buy some things for yourself, improve what you have. I know that I specifically struggle with that. I feel like if I ever buy something for myself, whether it's something completely recreational like a video game or like a book, I feel extreme guilt, and like I feel really selfish about it, and it's hard for me to enjoy that thing to the point where I wonder like why I even got it. Or even if it's something that like I need, like if I need a new pair of pants, which I do probably, I don't know why, but I wear my pants out really quick. Anyway, like if I'm buying like a new pair of pants, I even feel guilty for that, because then like I have thoughts like, well, there are other people in the world that, like, I just have pants that have holes in them and are faded and like a loop is like ripped out or something. But there are people in the world that just don't have pants like at all, probably. I don't know. I'm assuming so. Now that I say it out loud, that sounds a bit silly to worry about. But and but whether or not there are people that do or don't have pants in the world, like it is, it's not for me to worry about on such an intimate level. Um, and I don't know how common that is, of people feeling guilty about buying like crackers or, I don't know, like pencils or something, and thinking that money could be used to donate to charities and whatever. And I'm not even sure this, what Aristotle was saying is, well, it's definitely not what he was saying. What he's saying is you don't want to over moderate yourself. If you need a pair of pants, or you need food like a snack, or you need water like, or soda pops, whatever, I don't know, like, you can allow yourself to have these things, or like video games or books, like even just recreational things. Like you can allow yourself to have these things, just don't go overboard with it. And I really liked that. And another example he gives in the book that really stood out to me was with relationships. And you can probably, and the nice thing about this way of thinking is that you don't need to really read it in a book to apply it to every intimate thing. Like, once you get an example of it, you can think about really anything in your life, and you can apply it to that. Like for relationships, he says, don't give too much of yourself. Don't be like reliant, or make them reliant on you. Like, have boundaries, and don't cross those boundaries. Remember, you're two separate people. Your well-being is up to yourself, and the other person is someone you should care for and look out for, but your happiness shouldn't be dependent on them, and theirs shouldn't be on you. On the other hand, though, you don't want to be cold and callous to your partner. You don't want to be reserved, and you don't want to shut them out or ignore them or make them feel not valued by you. You do still want to show affection. You still want them to know that, like, you miss them, or that something they said or did might have hurt your feelings, or whatever. So there's always that middle line. And like I said, I really like this way of thinking, because especially right now, my friends, I don't know why, but for the last like a week or two, my friends have been on a streak of making it very clear that they don't want to do things with me, but then turn around and do those same things with other people. And they're being very brash about it, and not at all trying to hide it. And this has understandably hurt my feelings, and I've been pretty downtrodden because of it. But I was thinking about this book, and it kind of put me in the mindset, and I think this is a really good practice for any situation at all, although it's extremely difficult. And I, like with a lot of the things I say on here, I'm not trying to come at this with an authority of this is how you're supposed to think or this is how you're supposed to do things. Like, I'm definitely not a professional or anything, but as with everything I say here, I just want to open up thoughts and ideas, because that's how I come across them. I read something, I don't necessarily take it straight to heart, but it makes me think and makes me apply things in ways that suit me and my lifestyle. That's all I hope to do with people that hear this. Anyway, I was thinking, the situation is, for whatever reason that I don't know, my friends are cutting me out of things that they know I like to do or that I'm eager to do with them, and then they're turning around and doing those things with other people. Like, they're cutting me out, and I don't know why. It's, at least as things stand at this moment, with what I know, it's not up to me to change that right now. Or maybe it is up to me, but it's not being changed. That's just what the situation is. So, in my reaction, how do I find that medium that Aristotle talks about? Like, how do I find, like, what's the extreme and what's the passive approach? And once I know what the extreme is and what the passive approach is, how do I can then find, like, the middle. And this might be flawed logic, but from how I understand it, I could be extreme, and I could blow up in their faces, get really angry and say, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you treating me like this? What's wrong? I don't want to be your friend anymore. If this is how you're going to treat me, what's the point of being friends or anything like that? But I could also just be passive, which is unfortunately the route that I've been more closely taking, and just kind of saying, my friends don't like me, I'm worthless, I'm not a good friend, I probably pissed them off without even realizing it, they don't like me anymore. Now, in general, with a lot of things in my life, I tend to be very passive, and I tend to kind of get really angry internally for just a little bit, but then I get really, really depressed and just accept that whatever's happening, it's my fault, and I'm a bad person, and I'm a bad friend. Now, I don't even know if my friends that are doing this realize they're even doing it. And that might be even a passive kind of thought in itself, because it's so, like, it's so on the nose that I feel like it's impossible for them not to know that's what's happening. But whatever the reason, the middle path, as far as I can see it, is I need to have, without aggression or even really without a goal except just finding truth, I need to talk to them and say, you've done this and this, and I've observed that, and it makes me feel like this. So if this is what I think it is, can you tell me why you're doing it? Or if it's not what I think it is, can you explain to me what it actually is, so that I don't keep misunderstanding it? And I don't know, maybe to a lot of people that's kind of the, like, what you'd expect from it. I feel like a lot of people would probably be in this situation and then just kind of default be like, yeah, I should just do that. But I don't know, for me, and maybe for other people too that are like me, where they're just they have absolutely no self-confidence or self-worth, like, at all. And so when something like this happens, their gut reaction is to get super upset and want to blow up and freak out. But then that subsides, and then the lingering feeling is just worthlessness. And even if even if you're being treated completely unfair and there's no good reason for it, you still believe that it's your fault and you deserve it. So for people like that, like me, I think this exercise in particular, I mean, it's good for everybody. I think with everything, you should always try and find the median, except for like special cases where one side or the other is called for. But generally, I think finding the middle range is good, and especially for people that really struggle with kind of falling into a bad habit when a unique situation comes around. I think it's a really helpful mindset to kind of snap into, to show yourself what both extremes would be, and then kind of gauge where you are on that, and then figure out how you can slide where your reaction is so it's more in the middle. And it's not easy. Like, I've known that this is sort of what I should do and what I want to do for a while, but I still haven't done it. I'm too afraid. I still feel like I'm worthless, and I think there's a lot of mental health stuff in there. Like I to some degree, I kind of enjoy feeling worthless, and I don't know, like it's weird and not for this video, but it's comforting to know that, like, even if it's the one I'm choosing because I'm dumb or emotionally just brain dead, but it's nice to know that regardless of what I'm choosing, there is an option that is a middle ground option that represents, like, you try your best, you do the most reasonable, level-headed thing you can, and generally that probably leads you to a better place. But if it doesn't, it's not your fault. You did everything in your power that you knew how to do to resolve the situation as peacefully and as successfully as you can. And in any situation in life, if that's what you're doing, regardless of the results, if you go into that situation with that mindset, then 100% of the time you will be the one coming out on top. At least from a moral and dignifying standpoint. Always, if you're acting in the best interest for you and the people and the situation itself, and you are truly trying your best to come at it with an unbiased and a level-headed view, then you will always be the one that's winning in that situation, regardless of how it turns out. And I really do believe that. And I really do believe it's hard. It's not an easy thing to find. I think it's, again, unless it's under extreme situations, I think it's not difficult to find the middle ground. I think it's something you do have to think about. I know maybe normal people don't, but I think it's something you have to put thought into. And it doesn't take a lot of thought. It takes a few minutes of meditation to sort of be able to gauge that chart. And it takes probably an exercise in self-reflection to gauge where you are on that chart and what the middle ground looks like for you. But I think it's doable for most people. I think the hard part, definitely the hard part, is actually practicing it. Because it takes courage, and it takes humility, and it takes, like, some degree of, like, risk. Like, sometimes you're putting stuff out on the line. Like I love my friends, and they're all good people, and there's no doubt about that. But I also have very prideful friends, and often talking to them about issues that like just wanting to talk to them about things that have happened and wanting to like clear the air, that more often than not, by a huge margin, really turns into them. It turns into a roasting sesh for me and all my problems and what I'm doing wrong. It has nothing to do with the situation, but it's really hard to, I think, with my friends have talks like that. But like I said, if I go into a situation with my friends, because I love them enough and respect them enough to at least give them the opportunity to have a conversation. And no matter how that conversation goes, if it is a helpful and healthy, productive conversation that leads to all of us feeling like we're on eye level with each other and it all makes sense, that's great. But if it doesn't, and it does they just turn it around and attack me instead. Like I said, I still come out on top, because I still found that middle ground, and I still walked it, and everything that was possibly within my realm of manipulation, I chose to use to the best way possible that I knew how. And people's reactions to things and people's feelings are outside of my realm of control, and that's okay. So anyway, that is my thoughts on that. I'm only about halfway done through the book, but they're really dense. They're only a few hundred pages long. I think 400, and that's halved because one half is written in the native language of the person who wrote it, because it's like a lot of Stoics are the authors of these books, and so they're written in like, I don't know, like Latin or Greek. I'm not sure which. I think Latin. Well, definitely Latin for some of it, but I think some of them might be Greek as well. I don't know. But so half of them are just written in like the way they were written in their like journals or whatever, and then the other half is written in like English, because I certainly don't read Latin in any of its forms over the course of the world. So they're really quick. You can bust them out in a day. Give yourself like 2 or 3 hours, and you can read one really quick. So, but they're really dense, and they go through a lot of issues, and I really enjoy pondering them and thinking about them. They have a lot of good things to say. So, even if some of it is kind of dated, like I like to fancy myself a scholar of the Stoic mindset, but you look in the community, and not everyone, but every now and then you see someone that is like really intense about it, and you can't help but feel like, the core of what you're trying to say, I think, is valid for sure, but the way you're going about it is really like dated. So I don't know, it's funny. Everyone does their own thing, I guess, but I'd love to talk more about more of the books the more I read them. I want to annotate them and like put notes in them, but they're my roommate's books, so it was also one of the friends I was talking about. So I don't want to mess up his stuff, but maybe if I read one, I'll do videos like this, I think, for all of them and all their different chapters and things, but if I ever read one that really like sticks with me, then I think I'll buy it so I can write notes in it and highlight things. I really liked the How to Die one. That one really stuck with me, so. But it also had quite a bit of knowledge that I think can be updated. In any case, I hope that everyone listening to this heard something that helps them think and helps them meditate. I hope you heard things that make you want to meditate about it. And yeah, I hope you're all doing very well. October's halfway done, which is crazy, but I've been enjoying it so much. I'm playing through Bloodborne with my friends. And speaking of, I need to do another spooky video. So, which I found some ways to improve them. And speaking, just in general, I want to improve my videos. I'm happy I'm making them, and it feels extremely satisfying to make one. And I definitely feel like I'm living like the dream that I wanted when I was a kid by making YouTube videos, but I don't know. I can put more effort into them. I'm not as proud as I can be of the things I make. I know I can make them better. And I spent like all my growing up and like I've spent my whole life watching YouTube videos and Let's Plays and stuff, and so I know what I like to see and what I want, and I know that I'm capable of making it. So yeah, I'm gonna bump the quality up on these a lot. I hope I'm gonna try at least, because I can do better. And you guys, anyone that subscribes to me and spends any amount of time watching any of my videos deserves better as well. So I owe it to you guys and to myself to step up the game. So yeah, in any case, one last time, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good whatever time you're watching this. I hope it's good for you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.